Hi everybody, this is Osprey from mychartcoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at the marine transportation sector. Okay, so yeah, they had that big pullback after they had a big run and then a big pullback, and then some of the stocks in the sector were bouncing on Friday. So take a look at PXS. All right, so this is really the best looking chart of the marine transportation stocks right now, and it did have the best day on Friday with that 25% close. It had a nice day, bounced off of RSI. You want to see it stay in that bull zone there at 58. Bullish crossover here on Fasto. And so it came down here and it had a really sweet bounce play setup with the doji, that candlestick that formed after a gap down open right at that middle Bollinger Band resistance or support level at 177. It was just all set up for a load off of that 170 support level. And so whoever follows our technical analysis on loading off of middle Bollinger Band support on pullbacks, congratulations, that was the perfect trade. And then it closed back above EMAs 4, 8, and 13. And so the key on Monday is going to be to stay above EMA 8 at 214. That's the top moving average here. If it were to drop back below these moving averages, it could come back down and test the middle Bollinger Band. If the middle Bollinger Band holds and it stays above EMAs 4, 8, and 13, look for a retrace back up here to this 260 level. That's going to be the next big resistance level to break. If it can get above that, the high close here from November will be back on deck at the right there at that 310 level. Okay, so yeah, so very nice bounce. If you look at the 15-minute chart here for PXS, you know, it had the volume came in early in the day, and that pushed it up to this red line, which is the 200 simple moving average, and that's going to be the big level to break next week. If it can trade above 238 and turn the top moving average on the 15-minute chart into support, it could push higher and retest these previous levels. Now, if that level turns into resistance or remains resistance, and it drops below the middle Bollinger Band and the 300 simple moving average here at 217, then that's going to signal downside risk. It could come down here and test that $2 support zone. Okay, let's look at DCIX here. So yeah, it had a nice bounce on Friday, closed up 18%. RSI's back above 50, the bullish crossover on Fasto, and so it did close back above the middle Bollinger Band and the 200-day simple moving average, currently at 163, and so that's the key level to hold. If it dropped below the 200-day simple moving average, that's this red line right here, that would signal downside risk. It has to hold that level next week and then get above EMA 8 at 171. A close above the line next week should signal that it wants to head higher. It came down here and it filled the gap on Friday between the Wednesday and Thursday candle. So right now it's set up to possibly push again higher now that it's above the middle Bollinger Band. But if that level fails to hold, it could start a new downtrend. So keep that in mind. If you look at DCIX here on the 15-minute chart, you can see it closed above the 50, 120, the middle Bollinger Band simple moving averages on Friday. So that was a really good close. It needs to break this 160 resistance zone from the 7th, and if it can do that, this resistance zone up here between 178 and 184 will be on deck. You know, that's the high close here at the 400 simple moving average, and then it's going to be all about getting above the 300 simple moving average at 184 and turning that level into support. Fail to break those levels when tested, and that will be the take profit zone. Okay, let's look at ticker symbol TOPS, closed up 12%. RSI is back above 50. You got the bullish crossover on Fasto. They all have this bounce play set up after a multi-day pullback. You can see they pulled it back after topping out here, and so it came down and bounced right off of the 200-day simple moving average at 138. That level needs to hold. If that level were to break, you know, it could come down here, test these lower moving averages. Now it closed right at the key resistance level. That's the middle Bollinger Band at 163. This dotted purple line has to get above that level and above EMA 8 at 169. If it closes back above those levels next week, that should signal it wants to head higher. If those levels remain resistant, it's going to come back down and test that 200-day simple moving average. If you look at the volume down here, it was a really low volume bounce. Many times the bounces are better if it's good volume, so keep that in mind. Trading below 163 will signal downside risk next week. Now, it did heat up on the 15-minute chart, and it closed above the 50 simple moving average and the middle Bollinger Band. It just needs to break the gold line here. That's the 100 simple moving average at 161, 162 there, and if it could turn that level into support, it could run up here to 180. It hit that 180 level and fail to break like it's going to be the lock-in zone, the lock-in gain zone. But if it can close above that 200 and 300 simple moving average in the 15-minute chart, that would be your signal it wants to head higher. Okay, finally, let's look at GLBS here. And so it closed up 10% on super light volume, only 275,000 shares. RSI is back above 50. You want to see that bullish crossover there on Fasto. You can see they pulled it back, dropped it for the 5 days in a row. 5 days down and rebound is a good technical bounce setup. Now it needs to break the 200-day simple moving average, the red line there at 675. Fail to break 675 next week, and it's going to start a new downtrend. It's already below the middle Bollinger Band at 653. That's this dotted purple line here. And if that level remains resistance, it's going to come down here and test the 50 and 100-day simple moving averages between 479 and 510. Now, if it closes above 675 next week, that should be the signal it wants to push higher, and that's going to put that 300-day simple moving average at 811 on deck. Okay, take a look at GLBS on this 15-minute chart. You can see they had this really nasty downtrend. They really walked it down. And check out the green line. It was above the green line over here on the 5th, and then it closed below, and it kept failing to break that level until the close on Friday. Notice the last 3 candles are above the green line. That is the signal that it could heat up and get moving here. It puts it back in play as long as those levels hold. If it were to drop below 618, that would be a sell signal. As you can see on this chart, it's deadly to hold if candles are forming below that green line. If the green line holds, the next level to break is going to be the gold line, the 100 simple moving average at 680. You don't have to get above the 650 high close resistance zone, but if you can get above that, the 100 simple moving average at 680 will be the next target. And finally, take a look at DAC. This stock has no volume, only 78,000 shares, but as you can see, the marine transportation sector has been in play, and DAC has not participated, so keep an eye on it. They might run it. You never know. It did have a close above the middle Bollinger Band on Friday, and so it's above that 109 level, 110 level. If it can hold that level, which it's been working on here, the dotted purple line, a new uptrend could begin. And so what you're looking for is a move back up to this 50-day simple moving average at 127. Once it gets above that level, it could really get cruising. So yeah, keep an eye on it. You know, you have basically 115 here. 115, 120, and then right up here at 125, you can see there the key resistance, high close resistance levels to break. Get above that, and then you have that 50-day simple moving average at 127. Just keep an eye on it. Check out PSAR. It had a bull flip. Look at the green dots. They flip below the candles on Friday, so it's a signal the chart's heating up. You know, the MACD has had a bullish crossover for a while, so this has been on setup mode, and so all it has to do is just hold support, stay above 109, 110, and then break through 115, 120, 125, and then it could get moving. So keep an eye on it. All right, thanks a lot for viewing this video. If you'd like to learn more about charts and technical analysis, please come check out the chat.